Welcome to Talkin Business. I'm Joe Catronbone, CEO of the Stuart Martin County Chamber of Commerce, and I've got a special guest with me today, he's not only a chamber member and a veteran, but he's a candidate for county commission. And we have a political action committee called CPAC, and we're proud to endorse Doug for his run for seat 4 of the county commission. And what I like to do, those of you who've watched the program before, is ask my guest about what brought you. How did you come to Martin County?
Sure.
Where did you get here?
Well, first off, thank you. I really appreciate the
my
endorsement. Happy to be here. What brought me to Martin County were my parents. I was born and raised in Tequesta, and so I got to grow up just seeing the incredible area that we have. And so as I grew up, I went to King's Academy as a kid and grew up going to Christ Fellowship and saw my parents usher and serve there. And after high school, I left for the military. And so I had a great experience in the Marine Corps. I learned to fix learned to fix generators on F-18s. So pretty neat time. Got to learn a lot about the flight line and just how all that works. Afghanistan was in 2012, and it was an honor and a great challenge serving our country. But what brought me back to Martin County was my family. My parents built homes, still do, built homes in PGA National, Ballin Isles, but not in a large developmental way. At max, we built 13 homes a year. Now we build about 3 in Admirals Cove a year. But seeing this environment, it's been amazing growing up here, and so I want to make sure that we can protect it.
And I know that's one of your main focuses on your platform, especially the river. I know that, and that, of course, that's a hot spot and a warm spot in my heart. And that's why I have so much respect for Congressman Mast. He's done so much in my time here. Since 1989, we've had 3 or 4 different congressmen who they paid some attention to the river. The plates are full, but Mast has really taken it on, and really it's his baby. And so my thanks always go out to him for that. And I know that you have the same love and respect for our river and our estuaries as Congressman Mast, for sure. So are you involved with your parents' business right now?
Not actively. I occasionally fix the computer for them, kind of thing,
Okay.
But for the most part, no. I review. I'd say probably weekly. I go and see the job sites with my dad just to have a touch, and it's how him and I get to connect and communicate. So it's one of the things I enjoy, but no position there in any way.
Well, did you ever have an interest in it? I mean, did you ever want to be a home builder?
I think my dad encouraged me by working summers for him and treating me the worst possible.
So he discouraged you.
He encouraged me to go to college, right?
Yeah, okay.
And I tried that for a semester, but I always was very confused. How does a kid at 18 know what they want to do for the rest of their life, right? I don't know. My sister was that way. She figured it out, went to college, loved it. For me, though, the military was just the right space for me. And so now, as I've kind of went through all of that, technology is where I enjoy spending my time and focus. And I see now every business has to focus on that, right? And so I spend my time as a chief information officer for Avanti Home Health. And so I enjoy the role helping people.
Home health is huge industry today, and it's getting bigger. It's growing exponentially. It's crazy. But of course, you got all the boomers retire, and so I ain't ready yet. I ain't going there.
Oh, you shouldn't. Well, that's why I think home health is booming right now, right?
Yeah.
You see what happened these past few years with nursing homes, and everyone wants access to their family members. If they're sick, if they're hurt, we firmly believe that being around our family in that time helps them. And so to be able to have home care to where someone can stay at their home and have someone go in and actually help them, I think that's a benefit compared to, the living facilities, if you will. So I like what I do.
Just to touch on, on the same topic, we had people in yesterday who are joining the chamber, and they have a home health service. We'll have a doctor come to your house. I remember when I was a kid, I didn't go to a doctor's office.
Right.
Dr. Perel came to my house, gave me a shot or whatever, you know. And Dr. Perel went to high school with my mother.
Right.
You know? So it's obviously the times have changed so much. But getting back to, when's the last time you had a doctor make a house call that you know of?
Probably 4 years ago when we sent a doctor out, but that's your point.
Yeah,
You know, I mean,
yeah.
it's you don't hear that anymore.
Yeah,
Really,
no.
it's gone.
So some things just, what goes around comes around.
So I think we'll cycle back
Yeah,
to
yeah,
it. I think we're getting
yeah,
back to that. People
yeah.
want that connection.
Yeah. So tell me what got the fire in your belly, and you have to have a fire in your belly to serve in any elected position. I don't care what it is. You take a beating. If you keep 50% plus one of the electorate happy, you get reelected. And that's tough to do a lot of times. So what got that fire burning? What wants you to put yourself out there?
Sure. Two things really. For me, you know, last year when we drawed down from Afghanistan and we withdrew, we did not do it in an honorable way. You know, you see a lot of the photos, you see a lot of the comparisons between how we left Afghanistan and how we left Saigon. And so that was the root of the fire, if you will, right? That really started to stoke the flame. And then the next was when we redistricted and I start to look for real estate prices. And as many people know, right, we've had an 81% increase in the median household, median price of a house in the past 5 years. And so seeing a townhome that used to go for sale for $75,000 that I purchased for $300,000 makes me want to make sure that we can plan for our future to keep our grandkids here. I want to make sure that we respect our organic growth and the families that have been here. So that's the other purpose for me.
Do you have, is there something you can share with us that you have a plan in mind?
Sure.
Or something?
Yeah. So that plan for me, right, it comes down to two things. And before we get into those two things, I think that it's important to bring up the environment, right? That impacts
Crucial.
all of us here in Martin County, and not just Martin County, South Florida, the world, but you see the local impacts of policy decisions at a state level. You see the local impacts of the Army Corps of Engineers by how we've impacted our environment. And so standing on a platform of clean water, of 4-story height limits, of protecting our wetlands is something that's incredibly important to me. We need to have a smart and measured approach towards our growth. Again, respecting the organic side of the people who've come before us. But when it comes to making sure that our grandkids can afford here into a place that will be protected, right, that will have the natural resources, for me it's about aligning the education systems that we have with the right corporations in the form of remote work. That way we have incredibly low impact to our environment, but we still have incredibly high paying jobs that create the ability for our grandkids to stay here and then grow up. I think that at that point, people are holding a lot less interest in going into an office every day, right? They want the flexibility to go to the beach with their kid in the morning and then get the work done in the afternoon. So if we highlight our education systems in that manner, give the employers the worker that they need, I believe that we're going to be in a much better place for Martin County to keep it the way it is without impacting.
You touched on something that, you know, it really impacted the way we do business, especially with our employees, because so many people today are working remotely.
Yeah.
And as a result of that, businesses were able to cut down, for instance, their office space.
Yeah.
If they can give an employee a computer and a remote access from their house, I mean, it cuts your overhead, and I think it increases productivity.
Agreed.
A
There's
lot of
studies to
people-
show. I think that two things need to happen for that to occur. I think that you have to understand your place in the system, and two, you've got to recognize where you impact the rest of that system, right? Which goes back to that initial understanding. When you have that, I think you get a very productive and efficient employee. Otherwise, and that's for anyone, right? You need clarity and you need direction. And so I agree with you. I think that we're seeing a benefit there.
Yeah, and this is an aside, but I was talking about this yesterday to someone. Usually, in my career as a chamber exec, usually when the economy is good and things are banging, our events production falls off.
Sure.
They don't have to network.
Right.
I've had people say to me, I got enough clients, I don't need more clients. What? So I think the advent of the remote working from home has kept and increased attendance at our events, because now you're home in front of a computer for 6 hours.
Right.
You're by yourself.
Yeah.
Now you have to have that contact, So that's what I attribute it to. It may be something totally different, but from my experience, what I draw on, my experience working with businesses for the last 40 years, that's the only thing I can put my finger on,
Sure.
So, of course, that's a whole other tangent we could go off on. Gosh, I was going to talk to. There was something else that made me. Well, let's touch on something that we haven't touched on that you think people need to know and it's important, especially to your campaign.
I think it's family. I think that when you look at I'm a business owner. I come from a business family. I'm a military veteran, and I truly believe that we are created to serve. And I think that all starts with family. We care about our kids being here. We care about making sure that our kids have the right education. We care about making sure that our kids are given the right role model to live life by. And so for me, I have a 6-year-old son and an 11-year-old son, Grayson and Colton. They go to school. One is in Jupiter Christian, but the other is in, we hope to get him into Treasure Coast Classical Academy coming up, but is in Hope Sound Elementary. And so these are things that as a father in the community, I want to know that there's another father, another business owner, another veteran that is in the local county commission that's being thoughtful and considerate of the constituents. And so I believe that I can connect with the real person that lives in our county. So I'm excited to serve.
I agree with that. So that brings me to something else. Is there something are we taking care of our veterans? Is there something we should be doing here to help our veterans more than we are? And how would you rate how we treat our veterans?
So from a county angle, I think that Martin County is among the top. And one of that is just the ratio of veterans here versus other places, right? For every 10 citizens, there's a veteran in Martin County compared to 20 in Palm Beach County. And so for that element alone, I think it brings that small town feel, that respect that you kind of feel. But I think from the VA angle, I think that our outpost for the VA here could have a little bit more services. I think that we could increase, just a few of those services that will offload things like CAT scans, right, X-rays, offload the work so that our residents don't need to travel as far down to the VA.
Okay, so how does that happen? You have to deal with the VA.
That's correct. So
it's not something as a commissioner you could say, I'm not supposed to bang on the table. Sorry, Wayne. So I mean, you just can't, as a commissioner, demand anything more for veterans.
That's correct, but I do think that there's a needed relationship between the local, your local leaders, and then also those at the state and federal level. And so for me, in that local position, it's making sure that communication, that message has been sent to the right people. And so that's why I think that we can actually be able to do something for those veterans in the local position. But what can we also do, right? What can I do directly? It's continuing the great work that has been done. Veterans Day Parade, right? Brian Mast was walking down, and so were our other county commissioners, pulling veterans out of the crowd, saying, hey, if you've served, please come and walk with us. And so those things, I think we continue that. I think we continue the public recognition.
Recognition is important, and I always go out of my way to recognize a veteran when I know, especially, and thank them for their service.
Yeah, and it goes to everybody, right? It goes to law enforcement, it goes to firefighters. My son, he gets the big, he knows that I view it as respectful if he goes up and says, thank you for your service for someone who's serving. And so he's like, Dad, I said thank you for your service.
Yeah,
and it's
nice.
it's another connection.
Yeah, that's nice. That's a good thing.
definitely.
So, anything else you want to talk about? What? Let me.
Well, actually, get leadership.
Oh yeah. What
Yeah,
did you do?
so I was blessed enough to be a part of the Martin County Leadership Program, and so we just finished our last class yesterday. And for anyone who's on the fence about leadership, or anyone who applied in the past and the spots filled up kind of thing, I highly recommend that you do it again. And the purpose of the leadership program, beyond what you hear the program staff say, is really the connections that you have. What I've found as I continue to get older every day, it becomes harder to connect and find deep and meaningful relationships with others. We're all busy with our families, parenting, working, all these different things. And so leadership not only gives you the education of what's happening in the county, gives you a pulse of what's going on with its community, but it gives you a way to connect and form deep and meaningful relationships. And so that's one thing that I've found a huge benefit just in my own personal life.
Thank you. And I had Cindy on the program earlier, and we talked about leadership and her involvement and so forth, and how, and you've heard me say it, but it's the thing I'm most proud of that I brought to Martin County was leadership in Martin County, and it's my baby. I love it. So another thing, now you talked about your two children.
Mm-hmm.
So you and I had an immediate connection when we first met. You had a great handshake. You were forthright. I knew you were a veteran. I respected that. But you had somebody with you that really got my attention. Your third child that we haven't talked about.
That is true. He doesn't get brought up a lot.
Okay, well, that's my boy Oro, and I think that we were able to. You can see him on this. He is.
He's tired.
He is. What a boy! He is companion dog. He goes not everywhere, but most everywhere. Comes into my office a lot and knows right where the snacks are. And his dad gets a little upset because he's not supposed to be taking snacks from strangers, or he and I aren't strangers anymore. We're good friends. So, but anyway, Oro solidified our relationship, because if he shows up without Oro, that's the first thing I say. Where's the boy?
He says, your name is Doug, and it should just be, I messed up. I didn't mean to say Doug. I just said bring the dog. So, no, it's been good.
Well, buddy, I appreciate you taking the time to appear with me. I wish you all the best. I think you're going to make a great commissioner, and I look forward to working with you.
Thanks so much,
Yeah.
Joe. I appreciate it.
Thank you again for appearing.
Of course.